Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm doing something a little bold, a little unexpected, and I'm going to be mood reading. This might not sound completely out of the ordinary for a lot of you. I'm sure a lot of you regularly engage in mood reading and don't even call it that. You just pick up a book and you read it at your leisure. Now, because I have this channel, I don't necessarily do that. I work off of a note in my notes app on my phone that lists the name of the video, the title of the video, and what books I need to read. This keeps me on track and making content for all of you. It doesn't necessarily lend itself to mood reading. I don't get to just pick up books willy-nilly and read something that I'm just excited about in a given moment. But you know what? I feel like I need that right now. I feel like I could really use a little bit of that. I'm gonna do it. I will admit I'm a little scared. Something about having guidelines around my reading is actually like kind of reassuring to me. I'm just so used to it. But I'm branching out. I'm doing something a little different and we're mood reading today. So buckle up. It's gonna be quite a ride. I don't know what genres I'm gonna pick up, books I'm gonna pick up, but I have a huge stack of books right here. I have books available to me from Libro FM if I want to listen to audiobooks. So we have work cut out for us and it's gonna be a fun time. But before we get into that, I wanted to tell you about the sponsor of today's video, Lian. They sent me their PixCut S1 and I was so excited about it because it's a smart printing and cutting machine that's all in one. Now I've had a cutting machine in the past and I never really wanted to pull it out because it's complicated to use. You have to like fiddle with the settings for like cutting depth if you ever want to make stickers. The software that went along with it was just so fiddly. PixCut S1 both prints and cuts, and it is quite literally the easiest device I think I've ever used. Now I set it up yesterday to print out some pictures of my cats and I was so impressed. All you have to do is insert the ink cartridge in the back, the cassette, and connect the device to Bluetooth with your phone in the app. I was able to use the smart background remover to get some super cute pics of my cats. Absolutely obsessed. But today I thought it would be fun to set up my planner for an upcoming trip, some super cute summer stickers using Lian's own library. So the first thing I did was use some of Lian's own sticker ideas from their Sun-Kissed Bliss collection, and I added those to my canvas and then resized them. It really only takes a click of a button and some resizing. Then I adjusted the margins on the stickers. This is basically like how close to the image that you want to cut. Again, so easy to do. Then I turned on my device and put the cassette where it needs to go to get printing, and I hit the cut button. So fun watching the app work with this device. The first time I used it, I was really surprised to see that it kind of prints the color in layers, but it's so fun to watch and I love seeing what the final product looks like. And now I have super cute stickers to add to my planner. Y'all know that in the past I have loved decorating the pages of my planner, and I love to use it as part planner and part scrapbook because I keep my planners and I really like to look back and see what I was doing in a given week. The Lian PixCut S1 really helps make my planner and my life feel more personal. I feel like the options are really endless. You could create labels for your pantry, or if you're a small business owner, you could create custom brand stickers. Again, I feel like the possibilities here are totally endless. So to check out Lian and the amazing PixCut S1 for yourself, head to my description and click the link down below and also use my code for 10% off. Thanks to Lian for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Now let's get mood reading. Off to a start. I am in bed with heating pad. It's that time of the month, if you know, you know. And I decided I was gonna go balls to the fucking wall and pick something crazy. I did in fact decide I was going to pick something crazy because, you know, I read a lot of romance and romance is cool, but I wanted to pick up a fantasy and it was raining earlier and I thought nothing says fantasy to me more than summertime. I cannot remember that much about my childhood. I don't know if y'all can, but I do distinctly remember in the summers going to the public library, grabbing books, coming home, reading them, and I always was so into fantasy because there were always good romantic plot lines. I'm specifically thinking City of Bones. I have a vision of myself in bed in the summer, Lay's potato chips next to me, City of Bones in hand, just eating the chips, reading the book, gagging over the twists, loving it, okay? This is not the same vibe, but I did pick up, I know you're gonna be shocked and surprised at this one, Night in the Moth by Rachel Gillig. Okay, so I have read, is it One Dark Window by this author? And I'll be honest, I didn't love it, but I loved the cover of this book and it seemed kind of intriguing to me. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna fucking do it. And I'm 50% in and I think I like it. I think I like it, which is, you know, unexpected for me. Maybe, just maybe, the mood reading is paying off. So this book's about our main character, Sybil, and she is a foundling and a diviner, which means that she can essentially commune with the gods sometimes. Now, the way to achieve this, the way to accomplish this is fucking terrifying, but she and 5 other girls who are also foundlings, basically orphans, are taken into this particular like cathedral, convent, whatever the fuck. They each are like representative, I guess, of different omens or different gods. Through certain processes, they are able to divine the future or, I guess, tell someone their fate. They're visited by this young king and some of his knights one day. She does some divining. We get to actually see that happen and it's honestly nuts. Honestly very spooky, very nuts, very dreamy. This whole book, and I think most of Rachel Gillig's writing, is very ethereal. Definitely not what I would call quick and dirty romantasy. And I think that that is what appeals to a lot of people about this author's writing. Anyway, she meets a knight named Roderick, and he doesn't necessarily seem to believe in what Sybil does. Also, he doesn't know that her name is Sybil. She just refers to herself as Six because she is like the sixth omen or whatever, representative of the moth. Basically, some spooky shit happens. All of the other diviners start going missing, and she is left to try to figure out what happens to them. So she teams up with this knight, and they are trying to figure out what's happening. At this 50% mark, we have a better understanding of kind of the basis of this world, the basis for these 6 diviners and the people that they are representing, or the gods that they're representing, the symbolism behind it, and also maybe the truth behind it. And Sybil is having to decide if she wants to believe in what she is being told or believe what she has been told her entire life. That is one of my most favorite kinds of premises in a fantasy novel. I really love when someone has been told something their whole life, they have these strong held beliefs, and then they're having to face that head on because they're being told something completely different. Whether or not that is just propaganda from, you know, somebody else, or whether that is the truth, is always kind of fun to unravel along the way. And I don't really know in what direction we're heading, but the action has definitely been picking up. We have this sort of interesting relationship too between Sybil and Roderick, aka Rory, I think is his nickname. I wouldn't call it enemies to lovers per se, but they definitely don't get along. They definitely don't see eye to eye. He has knowledge that she doesn't, and she has been kind of like cloistered away for a while with her like sisters. Interesting. The worlds that this author creates, I will say, are very interesting. If you like kind of atmospheric fantasy, it has sort of like a dark, ominous vibe, I think that you would enjoy this. I think if you like Jill Gillig's other book, you might like this. Though I will say, I have seen some people who really liked One Dark Window not liking this book, and maybe it's a case of like, if you liked that one, you won't like this one, and vice versa, because I think I'm liking this one, and I didn't totally love the last one. That being said, at the 50% mark, the tone of the book is changing a little bit. I don't know if I actually love how action-packed things are becoming. I kind of preferred when things were a little bit sleepier and spookier near the beginning of the book, and we were kind of slowly unraveling things, but this is a series. I'm wondering like how much of this book in particular is going to be action-packed, or we just add an action-packed part of the book. I don't know, but I'm gonna keep reading to find out. So far so good though. Definitely interesting, and I'm glad to have picked this one up. I needed to pick it up for a video. I also had this on my most anticipated of the year list, and so far I think it's like living up to expectations for it. And I think honestly, just getting me to think more about romantasy and kind of where it can go. I think I've been very cynical about this subgenre for quite a while. I mean, a lot of the books tend to kind of run together for me in terms of vibes, the plot lines. It's basically just, in my opinion, for the most part, what I've read, weak fantasy with sex in it, and this isn't that. And I hope to see more diverse stories, not only in like characters, sexualities, and race and gender and all that stuff, but I mean like a diversity in the kinds of stories that we're getting, not just like fae stories, you know? It's just something I've pondered on, and probably why I don't pick up romantasy quite as much, but I'm liking this. Hello friends, looking so glamorous with my ponytail. I have finished a book, I've gotten 20% into another one, so let me tell you how the mood reading is going. So I feel so conflicted about whatever the fuck The Night and the Moth this book is. I'm so conflicted because I'm not one to catch a vibe, right? I think what I'm learning in this video so far is that like occasionally I can go outside of my own comfort zone or outside of my own norms of reviewing and give you a little something different. And for this book, I'm so conflicted because I did not like what happened in this book. If I'm being 100% transparent with you, I don't like the way that this book ended. There were some plot things that I felt were kind of like boring, honestly, as the book carried on. But I also still really enjoyed the overall vibe of this book. And I'm not like a vibes-based reviewer. I mean, I do rate things based on like how I enjoyed a book, not necessarily on like the technical craft. I also try to have reasons why I liked a book, why I am rating a book highly or not high. And this book, like, I don't want to rate it lowly because I did like the feeling that this book gave me. I loved that this felt like something different. I liked that this kind of horny. Wasn't like super smutty. I feel like we had more time to spend with our characters, more time to spend in this world. I'm conflicted. I'm really conflicted. I will say I really enjoyed the gargoyle in this story. I really enjoyed the atmospheric writing. I think if I really had to get down to like brass tacks, I don't really love the romantic relationship development all that much. Like there were some really lovely lines written, said by our hero in specific. I feel like maybe in future books I could, get on board with this romance. I feel like things happened a little quickly for my liking, and kind of one of my least favorite things is when a romance is kind of almost fully developed in the first book in a series, and then our author does one of two things. They either separate hero and heroine for a little while, kind of against their will, and then it's like this romantic, oh, they're coming back together, or we have a reveal where, let's say, the hero betrays the heroine, and so they rethink their feelings, or she rethinks her feelings, and then the next book is spent with them like trying to get back together, or him trying to like woo her, or apologize for lying to her, or some shit like that. I don't know. I think that it is not my favorite, honestly. I would rather see true slow burn for the majority of a book and them not get together at all until like the second or third book in a series, if it's going to be a series. Another thing that kind of like had me questioning this book was, I feel like up until maybe the last couple of pages of this book, felt that this felt like a complete story. I didn't think that it really needed a sequel. Yeah, I guess you could say there were some loose ends and things that weren't wrapped up, but we got really grand reveals, and I just like don't really know where we're going to go from here, and if it is going to be satisfying in any way. It's going to be something that like I care to learn more about. Like I feel like I learned everything that I cared to know about this world, and I don't care to learn that much more. That sounds bad. I did like this book. And I think this was the perfect book for my mood, to be honest with you. Was this absolutely perfect for me? No, but having like a switch up, a different kind of romantasy, I think was exactly what I needed, especially when the weather was kind of gloomy and I was like stuck in bed with my period. Granted, still here. I'm still not feeling great, but I'm not necessarily in a fantasy mood anymore. So let's cha-cha, shall we? Next book. You might notice that I didn't give that last book a rating. I think I need to sit with it a little bit longer. I'd probably give it like 3 stars, though it's like a 3-star that I liked more than I didn't. I think I would say, despite its challenges. I decided to pick up Rewind It Back by Liz Tomford. I've been putting this book off, y'all, for so long, it feels like, and not for any one particular reason. I just wanted to give this book a shot. It's due. I think whenever I am really excited for something, it can be hard for me to want to pick it up. I don't want it to be over once I start often, and I'm kind of feeling that way about this book right now. I love the tropes in this book already. I kind of knew going into this that this was going to be a second chance romance. I did not know to what extent it was going to be second chance, and what these characters' relationship would be to each other kind of in the present day, and it's exactly what I love. Okay, so the vibe here, we've got Rio and we've got our heroine, Hallie. Rio is a professional hockey player, and Hallie is someone from Rio's past. They used to have some sort of romantic relationship, believe. We haven't really gotten that far, but we know that they have a history. We know that these two grew up together, and we know that Rio, from past books and also from just how his friends describe him, is someone who is very flirty and is always kind of looking for the next great relationship, I guess, or like, the next person to see if they could be, a great relationship match for him. I wouldn't say he's like a player per se. He definitely seems like a guy who does want to settle down, but he just has not found the right woman. And we kind of see evidence of that in the first scene of this book. We get to see him interact with this woman who talking about like wanting to get engaged potentially. And he's like, girl, we've been on like a couple of dates, and I'm not really feeling you in that respect either. And she's not really into him either. She just likes that he's a professional athlete. Yeah, it's an interesting way, I think, to introduce us to his character in this book. We find out that Hallie is in Chicago, which is where like everybody in the series kind of resides. She's recently moved to Chicago, and she is working at an interior design firm, and she's trying to go from being an intern to having a full-time position at this particular company. But to do that, she needs to impress them with her second home renovation. She has successfully renovated a home before. It is actually the home next door to Rio's. He sees this renovation. He's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Next door, hook me up with whoever renovated your home. And it just happens to be Hallie, who is also like moving into the home she renovated with the girl who owns the home next door. I feel like this is sounding confusing, but basically she really needs this job, and she's trying to convince Rio to let her do it, but he doesn't really want anything to do with her, and she doesn't want anything to do with him, which I think is a fun way to kick off the story. I wouldn't have disliked this story if they didn't have this kind of like animosity towards each other. But I think it's a more fun dynamic than having one character who was like obsessed with the other and then got like left behind, which I feel like happens often. It's normally like heroine expresses interest in hero who is childhood best friend, and then he leaves her behind and comes back later. Like I feel like that is always kind of the vibe, and that is not a vibe that I'm particularly into. I'm not particularly into how crazy my blush is looking today. We'll be the first to admit I have blush blindness, but this is a bit much even for me. I am liking the animosity is what I'm gonna say. I'm liking that we're getting flashback scenes. I'm liking that we are getting scenes with Rio's friends, because the friend group is like a huge part of this story, of this series in general. I don't think that you have to have picked up the other books in the series to like pick up this one or any of the other books. They're standalones, but you'll have a better time with the books if you know have read the other ones in the series, probably more so than others, just because we're getting the side characters in as well. So yeah, so far so good. Like I'm liking the dynamics, I'm liking the second chance, I'm liking the flashbacks. We'll see how things go, and kind of the reasons behind how things are will definitely determine my enjoyment of this book. Like if someone really fucked up and did something stupid, maybe I will dislike it, but so far so good. I'm enjoying it, and it's so nice to be back with Liz Tomford's writing. So I'm gonna finish up my makeup, and then I'm going to get to the 50% mark of this book, and then we're gonna go get dinner together. Aiden is working late tonight, and then he has like a happy hour, I think, with some friends. So I am on my own for dinner. I also need to like grab some cat litter, run some errands. So didn't technically hang out in the car, and that's because I was hangry, okay? But I have read more books. I also obtained 2 books. I thought I would do a little book haul for you. I got Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston and A Deal with the Devil by Elizabeth O'Rourke. I really wanted the one that had like the pretty sprayed edges. I don't think I have a physical copy of this book. Maybe I do, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Regardless, excited to have these. I just think they're so pretty. I've really changed my tune, I think, with the books. I still love a good naked hardcover, but I really love just a standard colorful, beautiful paperback romance, okay? I just do. So glad to have that. Oh, I have this to hold up. I didn't hold this up in the last clip, I think because I was doing my makeup, but I am loving this. This is exactly what I was in the mood for, and I think that this book honestly probably would have hit regardless, but it's hitting especially right now. I just think that Liz Tomford again does such a good job with the way that she writes emotion. I think that this kind of story I've read recently, you know, like a childhood friends to lovers getting back together kind of thing, but just not done as well as this. I am so into Rio and Hallie's relationship. I'm loving the flashback scenes that we're getting between the two of them, kind of understanding the progression of their relationship, how Hallie's brother, who is the same age as Rio, like kind of doesn't want her to, you know, date any of his friends. So she feels like she's not really able to publicly date him, but like assumes that she is his girlfriend, and I just really like it. I also am really interested to see again why they broke up. At the 50% mark, we've had a kiss, we've had like a tension breaking moment, but there's still so many unanswered questions, and I personally really like that. Like I'm very curious to see where things go, and I feel like I just keep saying that. I'm so curious. Shut up. Also, like I am curious. I'm curious about where this relationship is heading. Like I think they're gonna have to have some like tough conversations, and in the moment as they're kissing and as Rio is actually about to leave for a while for like a series of hockey games, he says something to the effect of like, hey, don't overthink this. Like I want to talk when I get back, but like I just let me enjoy this moment. After he like kisses her, he brings her home from her second job. I think I don't speculate as to why they broke up. I'm pretty sure that I know why, and I hope that I'm not correct because it would be sad, but I think I know why they broke up. But I don't know. I'm curious to see how all this plays out. And yeah, I think I'm halfway there. Obviously, I'm like halfway through the book, but I'm also halfway there emotionally. Like, I definitely am rooting for them. I just am loving the tension and the angst. It's like so juicy, but there's some stuff that's gonna have to happen for me to like fully love this. I wouldn't say things have been resolved too easily because like we haven't had any resolution of kind of why they broke up yet. But yeah, I also want to see more present day conversations. Like we have seen more conversations in the past. It's not that they don't interact in the present, but they tend to be antagonistic. They have in the past. Like 50% mark on where are we going? Where are we going? I don't know, but I like it. So anyway, I'm gonna take a bath. I'm so excited to wash my hair to my curly haired state of things. I lately have been straightening my hair like once a week just to switch things up, but by the time it's time to wash my hair again, I'm like, please God, I just need my curled hair. So I'm gonna look shabby, I think, when I get back to you, but can I show you what we're reading next? In the thumbnail of the video, so I feel like it's not really that much of a surprise, but A Fate Forged in Fire by Hazel McBride. I feel like I actually haven't heard people talk about this. I didn't even know this was a book, but I saw it on a Goodreads list. I got it for a video that I'm doing next. You're gonna see it next, probably on Sunday, if all goes right. But yeah, I'm shockingly still kind of in the mood to read some more romantasy, and this one, just from the description sounds a lot more interesting than a lot of romantasy that I've been reading lately, so we'll see. We'll see how this one goes, but first we gotta finish this. Okay, friends, looking glam, happy whatever the fuck day it is today. We're finishing the vlog today. I've also finished Rewind It Back by Liz Tomford, and I've gotten about 50-ish% into A Fate Forged in Fire, or whatever the fuck this book is called. Rewind It Back. What I predicted being the thing that kept these two apart was incorrect. And I think that it's probably for the best that I was incorrect, because I think that the thing that I was thinking probably would have been, I don't want to say unforgivable, but like kind of in a way. Part of what I predicted sort of came true, but it wasn't like the main thing keeping these two apart. That thing, as I read more of the book, I still predicted before it was revealed to us. I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like it was definitely a legitimate reason to keep these two apart. I just am surprised, I guess, that the hero of the book never sought out our heroine to, I guess, like, ask her what was up, to try to get clarity. Like, I can't imagine being in love with someone, like, your entire childhood, something happening that isn't technically about you. Like, it kind of is, but it isn't really like your problem. And you just completely abandoning that person and like never asking questions. It just feels a little strange to me. Granted, he does grovel, he does feel really bad about what happens, but I don't know, that kind of bugged me. But even more than that, I think I really needed a little bit more from the present day timeline for these two characters, right? I was really looking forward to seeing how they reconnected. Unfortunately, it was mostly led by lust, and don't get me wrong, the sex scenes in this book are incredibly steamy. I think Liz Tomford does a great job with her sex scenes. I feel like there was connection in those sex scenes, and it was really sweet seeing just how well these two knew each other and kind of what that reconnection looks like. It was very like relatable in a way. I think I talked about this in a vlog actually recently. Hayden and I, when we were in college, we broke up for a little before getting back together, and there is something just really sweet about that like familiarity of coming back together and, you know, remembering things and it feeling like no time has passed. Like, I definitely saw that with these two characters, and it felt very genuine and very sweet. But I feel like for them to work long term into the future, like, they've been apart for 6 years, right? So I wanted to see more of their compatibility into the long term. Like, or maybe they had semi-similar life goals, things like that. But I think just a couple of scenes, honestly, a couple of scenes, a couple of more true conversations that didn't revolve around what choices we're making for this house renovation. You left me all these years ago. Like, I think I needed just a little bit more in the present day to be like, oh yeah, like, I like these two together. I didn't dislike this book. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. Like, I genuinely really enjoyed it, but I'm a little bummed given that this was feeling so 5-star for me up until the 50% mark. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. Previous book in the series and the second book in the series are favorites. I don't think I ended up reading 4, so maybe I'll go back and do that. I think that one's like a nanny and baseball player romance, single dad romance, so pick that one up at some point. But let's talk about the romantasy that I picked up. I cannot decide if this feels like a try-hard romantasy, for lack of a better way to put it, or if this is just more of the same that I see on like KU and just like generally, you know, in this genre. We have our heroine who's named, I want to say Amira. The world is like kind of hard to explain and sort of the setup of it, but she is a part of a royal family who has not been in power for many years because whoever, I guess, took the throne a couple of hundreds of years ago, maybe it was like less time has passed than that, but it's always been matrilineal and it has always been women ruling, have special connections to dragons. Dragons are important in this society, but whoever took over the throne was a man and has been passing it down to the men in his family, or maybe it was a woman who, you know, didn't end up having any daughters and started passing down the line to men. The most recent king has passed away or is going to pass away soon, and our heroine is part of bloodline of women who has this power and who wants to claim the throne. Whenever the king does eventually die, she attempts, and that's kind of what this book is about, she attempts to take back the throne, even though her and her clan, her family, have not really been in power in quite a while. And it's further complicated by the fact that there are, of course, 2 sons in line for this throne, one of which is a guy who really doesn't want to take over but is kind of forced to. The other guy is the one that is kind of like fighting head to head with our heroine. They have like an enemies to lovers thing going on, I'm sure you could assume. Even more complicating though, and I think this was probably a good addition, is this like new religion that is sweeping the land, because the traditional religion of this land, again, really places that emphasis on women taking power and women being the ones who are, keepers of dragons and who keep the dragon line continuing and the fire magic going. I picked up Binky just a second ago and I have like Binky hair all over my face. So if you ever see me like picking at myself, I've got super fine cat hairs all over me. There is a new religion that is, I think, being called like the true religion or something like that. It focuses and centers more on male power and men being the ones who are like truly in charge of society. And it feels very like patriarchal, bullshit. So that is kind of sweeping the land and is also kind of a barrier for our heroine. Not everyone has like signed up and is like, totally on board with this new religion, but it is appealing to people who have been living in this place for a long time and are like, yeah, of course, like the men have been in charge, so of course we should start following this new religion. So definitely is not like helping her cause when it comes to taking the throne. So the world itself is interesting. I think that this is built off of like Scottish folklore. The narrator is doing a Scottish accent. The names definitely have those kinds of roots. So I'm appreciating that. Like, I think that makes it a little bit more, I say try hard, but kind of. It seems like most of the romantasy books that tend to do something a little bit different tend to pull on folklore or other cultures, make their world richer. And I guess you can decide whether or not that's something that you enjoy, whether you think that's something that really adds. I think for some people it kind of like detracts or they don't enjoy that. But I'm thinking of things like that Danielle L. Jensen series. It's really based on like Viking sort of lore. I feel like that definitely falls in sort of the try hard romantasy category. It doesn't feel like every other fantasy series out there. So yeah, I don't know how to feel about it. I think the struggle with this book is that I'm a little bit bored. The beginning was very promising. It seemed like we were going to be going somewhere fast. The death of the king was upon us and things were going to be hard. But so far what's happened is just like a lot of failures on the part of our heroine. She keeps getting into these kind of stupid situations. And I think that her and relationship to the people around her is kind of reminding me of Selena in Throne of Glass, not in a way that is like fun. It's a little bit not annoyed, but at this 50% mark, we have an alliance being made against our heroine's will. I don't really want to spoil what that alliance looks like, but I'm sure you could maybe guess what sort of alliance you would see in this kind of book, and she's having to get really close to her enemy. I don't know, it's feeling more contrived than I was expecting it to, so a little bit of a bummer to like end a mood reading vlog like this because I feel like I was so in the mood for the other two books and I had such a good time. This one, I'll be honest, I'm not totally in the mood for. I considered DNFing this book and really listening to my mood, but I do want to finish this book and I do need to finish this book for another video that I'm doing. So I feel like I'm just gonna push through and go ahead and finish this one and let you know my final thoughts and feelings. But let me just say, so far, mood reading is a vibe. I'm really jealous of people who do this all the time, and sure, it's my channel and I can decide how I want to run it, but I like how I run my channel. I like the videos I post, even if I'm not always reading things that are like, I'm totally in the mood for this. So it's been a fun experiment, shall we say. I am going to finish up my hair, I'm going to finish up this book, and then I'm going to come back to you with my final thoughts. I didn't like this book. The beginning was so promising, but as the book carried on, it just fell into all of the tropes that I don't really enjoy in romantasy. Enemies to lovers that is barely really there. They end up like fucking pretty early on. And of course there is that like betrayal at the end of the book, so we can go into the second book with, I guess, new stakes or like new tension. I think I talked about that already in this video, but like I just don't like that. I do not find that interesting or exciting. Like that first book that we read, The Night and the Moth, or The Moth and the Night. The Night and the Moth? That one, I feel like at least it did something a little bit different with the development of the relationship. There wasn't necessarily a betrayal there. I hope that doesn't spoil that book for you, but like there's no betrayal, but there is something that happens to bring those two apart. This book, there's a betrayal, and I'm so over it. It's so tired. It's so overdone. There was really not much redeeming here. I also felt like our heroine was very strong-willed, but not in a way that was like fun to read. She was very irritating and kind of just listened to what other people told her to do. Just something that is definitely critiqued by other characters in this book, which I at least appreciated that acknowledgement, but this was just not it. Pretty cover and interesting world at the beginning there. I liked the kind of Scottish sort of vibes, but just no on this. So how did mood reading go? I mean, I feel like I don't have to really wax poetic about it. I feel like it mostly went pretty well. Was this book a fail? Yeah, but I did appreciate the other two books, and I'm glad that I got to like listen to my heart and read these books at my own leisure. So thanks for watching. Love y'all so much, and I'll see you in the next one.